office. All right, let's get it. All right, how many people from Virginia? 757 in here. Damn, y'all deep as hell. How many people from DC? Now, if we had to do it all by ourselves, could we do it? Like, could Baltimore do it on their own? All right, then. So this is why this conversation, we're going to get to the nitty gritty. I want y'all to ask your questions. We want to talk about bridging the gap. We've, as made in the DMV, we've been to 757. Of course, I've been to Baltimore and just trying to get an understanding of how we can do this, what it takes to make our scene and us not to leave here. So I'm going to introduce our panelists. Starting on this side, I think these guys are legendary. I grew up with them. I watched them in one of the hottest open mics. A lot of y'all don't know about it because I mean I know about open mics in the city, but Keys to the City is one of the longest running open mics in the city. They are legendary. They don't all the time get their props, but they deserve them, and they are hardworking, and that's like why they are up here. Everybody give them their flowers. Whoever here, Elway is probably the reason why DMV Hoods and News is so much better now. This prop, he put a little, they had to take the right person. They had to take the right person. And oh my God, I don't even know how do I introduce you? You have one of the biggest brands in the city, and he has one of the biggest platforms. His platform is bigger than mine. It is very powerful. And yeah, and he's into the culture. And always, and his opinion on the DMV is very, very, very debatable. And I'm gonna let y'all light him up. Say, nah, my man, at DMV Hoods and News. I won't say your real name. And 757 seems like a far place away, but not for Kimberly Selden, because she came up here today. She is a think processor, creative think thought person. She works for Google, but most importantly, she works in VA in the 757 to do a lot of infrastructure things. We went down there and had a good time. Don't let the look or the dress fool you. She gets down and party. She is a party girl, okay? We had fun. All right, next up is Yudu. Y'all remember Yudu? Y'all remember House Studios? Recently sold it, okay. But Yudu is back helping me and other people, and he has helped build infrastructure. He built a studio here. And then he left, and then he came back. And I'm not sure where he's at right now, but he's here. All right, and next up, recently left radio, but the GOAT, the legend, hands down, you gotta give her flowers. Angie Ange, thank you for staying with us, Angie, too. Because I know this panel could have been over, and I've been trying to get Angie on my conference forever, so I'm so glad you stayed. He's running a little bit behind, but Angie is also behind the powerful brand AMP. You know, she is behind a lot of powerful things. 495, she switched and she pivoted, so it's a great conversation. I got Mary Blackford. Y'all probably didn't catch her earlier on the Saving the City, but she is opening up Market 7, which is a huge marketplace here. It's a vendor place. We'll be able to have our own space. And it's taking a lot. It's taking a whole lot to build this place. Malcolm, you've seen Malcolm a couple of times. I know. I told him that he was going to be used over again because I didn't have that many people. So, nah. But Malcolm recently bought BT Building, and WEG Studios has been open for almost a year. Rest in peace to Mr. Van Whitfield. But it's now a new space. We hosted Lil Durk. Lil Durk. It was a nice concert. We had a nice Durk concert. We did that. But it's a space. It's a new space here. So I wanted to introduce everybody. All right. Because we are at the last leg, we're going to keep it kind of short. And I'm going to probably go right into the panel right away. I want to know, where's Chris? Chris Cash is Be More Allen. All right. Y'all come up here. I'm looking for my Be More people. I'm going to talk to everybody in here. Why does 757 feel like they not a part of the DMV, Kimberly Selden? What is this disconnection between Baltimore and 757? Because DC, we don't give a shit. I'm tell you how that right
I
now.
just think historically it's really a location aspect. I think the DMV has been known to be connected by transit. So 757 is 4 hours away. It's not necessarily easy to get to. It's a completely different culture. We're by the water. I didn't meet DC people until I went to college. And then the way you talk, the way you dress, and the music is all drastically different. So we've never been able to, in our minds, wrap our culture into one bubble. Now we've started to have a different conversation about what it looks like economically. So anyone in the 757 is not thinking about it from how does LA see us or how does New York see us. We know we're from the beach. We're from where Pharrell, Missy, Timbaland, the Clips are from. So our identity has never matched the overall identity of the DMV. Now that conversation is starting to change, and we're having that conversation. I had to leave 757 to make money. I had to move to New York. I've lived in New York for 11 years. So opportunity-wise, I think people understand that on the outside, people may not know the difference between Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, Norfolk, Suffolk, or DC. If someone from New York is coming to the area, they think I live near DC. And I'm like, I'm really 4 hours away. But however, I think that conversation is changing, especially in rooms like this. So really, it's just a matter of marketing. It's just been bad marketing. The DMV was never 757. It wasn't. We're changing that because we know that more opportunities can come to this area if we are more inclusive. And we know that people on the outside don't see us as separate. Our stories are important. 757 has a very individual, a very particular story that we are responsible for telling, and we will do that. And it's not DC, but I think that there's through lines through it all. We can all identify with certain things. I moved home after living in New York for 11 years to help bring the film and television industry to the area. Those conversations aren't exclusive to Hampton Roads. That's all of us. So, to answer your question, it's really just been a logistics piece and where the story originated. I don't think the DMV terminology was created to include us, but we have the power to shift gears and realize what's important for us as Black people and as a region.
How y'all doing? I'm Chris Cassius. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. And I think, now the question, can you give me the question one more time? I'm sorry.
I feel so separated from the word DMV. Like we say, like ward off is included in DMV. I'm sorry. All right, PG. Okay. PG is included in the DMV, and the Baltimore's like, it's still Maryland though. Like 757 is still Virginia. Like it's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So I'm trying to figure out why y'all feel like, we not. Y'all always say it now, and I'm not even gonna go there yet. I was gonna say y'all benefit off of the word DMV a lot.
Yeah,
but you don't like it.
All right, so I'm gonna say this as being one of those people who did at one point in time not associate myself with that. You know what I'm saying? I think a big thing about it, and I'm not from all over like some of us in here. We all from different places, but I'm not from where you from, of course. But I think I can speak on everybody's behalf when I think the biggest thing is the fear of like a sense of like erasure or like having somebody from somewhere else taking credit for something that came from home. And I think that's the issue really, like that's the root of it, you know what I'm saying? Like we be feeling like for instance, when Tank win a fight or something and we see like media that's based in DC say, DMV fight, and we like, he was born around the corner from me though. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that. And it to a degree though, I think it's a sense of, one thing that I'm learning is it's almost a sense of entitlement though. You know what I'm saying? Because we are as a whole, we the DMV, and we should feel like, you can claim this as well. You feel me? Our accomplishments is all our accomplishments. When we got Baltimore club music and we got go-go and it go crazy all across the world, we should be proud of that and we should all stand behind that, you know what I'm saying? But like I said before, I think the biggest issue is that we kind of just feel like it might be some sense of like erasure, or like we having to give somebody else some credit for something that we know they wasn't hands-on with. And I think that's really the root of it. But you know, I shifted gears as I got older, and I understand that we are one big area. And when it come down to labels, when it come down to agencies of all types of, you know what I mean, backgrounds or whatever, they look at us as one thing, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what hold us back a lot. We don't, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, building off of what he said, I don't know if y'all remember that one time when Jay Versace went viral dancing to a Baltimore club song by my OG Black Star, but I remember like everyone just going down saying like Jersey Club is so undefeated, and everyone's like, yo, what's going on? Because like, yo, like we like grew up listening, like this was like our childhood, like listening, and like, you know, just for like, no offense to Jersey, like it's happened to us before, like erasure. So it's really like we're very sensitive people, just knowing that like what we create, like our imports can just be taken and around the world and like be confused for something else, when we just know the people who worked on that. So it's nothing new. It's not out of like hate. It's like just out of security. But like obviously like it's different because like Baltimore is part of Maryland, and we are part of, I guess, what is called a DM. It's still interesting because I still associate with the Department of Motor Vehicles. I didn't really start hearing that.
Here we go.
I didn't really start hearing.
It's okay. It is okay. We are here to talk about these things, not Department of Motor Vehicles, though. Okay. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take a side note. Take a side note on that. You try to go on us a little bit. Angie, you've been in Atlanta for a little bit, right? Kind of back and forth.
Down there for about 2 years.
And all right, the word DMV. What? Because there's always everybody compares Atlanta. What? Are we right to compare it? Are we right to try to mock them? Is it? Should we stop and just try to build our own?
No. You know what was cool about Atlanta? The first thing I noticed about Atlanta was the ease with which we could collaborate. They were easy to work with. Atlanta is a lot like DC in that it's now a very transient area where you've got all these people who have moved to Atlanta, and so the locals there feel like, hold up, they're afraid of erasure. So you have the locals in Atlanta have the same complaints that like I hear DC artists have. Oh, you know, radio not supporting local, and artists just come from out of town and come here and set up shop and do their thing and leave. They had a lot of the same complaints, and they had a lot of the same issues. But what I really could appreciate was like when we brought Amped, my partner Zeppelin Tillman, he came down to Atlanta with me. And we had a plan. First, we were like, okay, it's probably gonna take us like a year to kind of build here. Man, we was up and running, had places, you know, letting us use their spot. And they didn't know Angie Ange, you know, like here, I get a lot of opportunity because you all already know me. We have a connection. Them people didn't know who Angie Ange was, but it was like if you had somebody that could vouch for you, they'd be like, okay. And then they had this attitude like, okay, you do this, I do this, I have this, you have this, we can help each other. So, and a lot of that I noticed was because they didn't have the same resources here. I think we take for granted the type of funding that is available in DC or the type of support and systems that is already here in the DMV area. So everyone kind of has this like, I'm entitled. If Bird is doing a conference, it's like, well, I should be Bird, and actually I should be better than Bird, and I should have my own conference, and I'm gonna start it tomorrow. Instead of going to hers and being like, yo, Bird has a conference. Bird has a conference. I have a camera. Let me offer my service. Then let me see if Bird will let me put my logo on the content, and we'll put both logos on the content, and then she'll distribute my content on her page. I'll distribute her content on her page. And now we've got like double exposure. Atlanta understands that a lot better. And a lot of that is because the same way I could go and say, I'm gonna start my own conference, they don't have that ability. They don't have the same type of resources where it's just like, you can look at somebody and say, I'm gonna compete and beat you. It's like, they're like, all right, we gotta work together. So it becomes, what do you have that I don't have? And how can we try to get ahead? We can get further together. They understand that, I think, a lot better. And then, you know, they've been burned, like, here in the DMV, all of us probably been burned by somebody that you thought you could trust. And I think here we get so cold about it. So it's like, now I'm on my own, man, because so-and-so burned me one time. I can't trust nobody. F everybody, F the radio. I went and tried to get the record played. They didn't play it. The hell with everybody. It's just like, well, wait, why we gotta go that extreme? Like, it might be somebody else. that can help you. And that was the other thing I noticed was kind of this, you know, they've been burned, so they watching you. They wasn't like just gonna let us do anything. They had an expectation, but we could all kind of sit and say, this is what we're trying to do. Can you help us out? And they understood how what you brought to the table could help them. And as long as you can help me and I can help you, it's like, all right, let's just do it. So we were able to partner with the culture experience, which is similar to the Trap Museum down there. Young man named Corey, he's not from Atlanta, he's from Texas, Houston, I believe, Houston or Dallas. And he has this beautiful space. And because we knew somebody that he was working with, that somebody said, well, yo, my peoples, they record this cool content piece for artists called AMP. They're from DC, they came to Atlanta. And he was just like, okay, because what we were able to do for him was take pictures of the artists in front of his activations. And so by taking pictures of the artists in front of his activations and tagging his space so that more people would know about it, that helped him. So it didn't bother him to let us use the space for a couple hours to shoot artists. Then we were bringing artists into his space. So he valued that as well. So it was mutually beneficial. And we've been able to, and I think if you are a person of your word and you are respectful and respectable, because that's the other part, we can't just run off with each other. Like we shouldn't be burning for everybody that's been burnt. A lot of times you may have burned somebody else and not really realized it. So as someone in radio who understands the value of relationships, making sure that we were building valuable relationships in Atlanta has now helped us to create a pipeline or perhaps bridge a gap between the DMV and Atlanta, because all them artists that come to Atlanta, and a lot of them were coming from Alabama, Chicago, they coming from everywhere to do it. And they will always be like, oh yeah, we love the DMV. And they always mention like one person, you know, like Tokyo Vanny was like, yeah, Ziggy told me how to do crypto or something like that. She's like, so it's like, they'll be like, they mention one person usually. And then they're like, I love DC. And they'll be like, so what do I do? What do I do when I get here? Who do I plug into? And that's where I think we're very disjointed, is if these artists from outside can come to the DMV and they have something to do. See, you go to Atlanta, you got 20 different things you can do that'll help further your career. Whether it's creating content, they're not just coming for radio and performances. They're able to shoot content with content creators. They're able to find the happening photographer and do a photo shoot with them. They're able to go to a conference, you know what I mean? So they have stuff to do. We have stuff to do, but don't nobody really know about it because we so busy trying to say, this is mine. And forget you. No, come to my stuff and only come to my stuff. But they need stuff to do. They need more than one thing because they're trying to further their careers and they're down to collaborate. But it's like, well, what do I do outside of get a bag? Outside of go to Rose Bar and get paid to perform? They don't really know that. And so we needed to be able to say, okay, Bird, let me introduce you to Bird. Let me get you to this studio. Let me get you to this producer. Let me connect. Like when we start doing that, I think we'll be a little bit more further along.
Okay, I want to ask, I'm all about solutions, and I'm going to turn this mic over. I want to ask Hood a question, but I'm going to ask Malcolm a question before we leave. We had a lot of conversations today on Clubhouse, a lot of different spaces. What is the solution? What do you think of the issue is at this point that everybody keeps living in the DMV? People are tired. They are frustrated. They keep tweeting us wild shit. What do you think is the solution? And what you do with WEG, because we have to talk about a solution base.
I think the solution Angie kind of said is, you know, a lot of our attitudes that we have to release that we've had historically, and to, you know, the point that was said earlier, we've just had this bad marketing in terms of we are a crab in a barrel town. And to a certain extent that might have been true at one point, but I think right now we're just carrying that attitude on for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like we know that it would be beneficial for us to work with one another. We know that we've seen that work in other cities, and we know that it's the model that is going to make us the most money, but we choose to do the opposite for whatever reason. Some of it is because people have got burned. Some people have had bad experiences. Some people are just afraid to jump out there. But the moment that we decide to let that guard down and just start, like Angie said, again, if I have 50% of the job and the other person has the other 50%, instead of we stop saying, look, my 50% is better than your 50%, and we just start bringing ours together and go get the bag together, we're never going to win this. So that's the main solution. You know, we talk about, you know, infrastructure in terms of physical places, building more recording studios. We don't technically, we have enough recording studios for people to actually go do the job. You know, just being real.
Are they good though?
It doesn't. A better studio doesn't give you a better song.
How do artists feel about that? Y'all agree with that one?
That's real.
That was tough. That's a tough answer.
A better studio is not going to get you a better song. There,
might gotta quote that tomorrow.
I just saw an interview with TMC The Don. Said he did what was the song he had? Hellcat. He said he recorded it on a squeaky bed in somebody's room, and that blew up. It doesn't matter where you record it. A hit is a hit. You know what I'm saying? So thinking that we need more things is not the answer. But what we do need to is use each other more and work with each other more, and that's the solution.
All right, cousin news. You deal with a lot. You have built big platform. People have came at your neck. You wasn't with the DMV stuff. With the Baltimore, you go in Baltimore a lot, and they felt that. What has changed your mind?
Bad Baltimore.
What has changed your mind, and what do you think is a solution to bring us together? Is it even possible? Because you get so many people that come at you.
Oh no, it's definitely not situation where we can't unite and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I just think the trust has to grow a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? This and the third. You know, because although we only like 45 to like less than an hour away, you know what I'm saying? We're not really too far away, especially with DC and Baltimore. It's like, most of us don't really know too much of each other. You know what I'm saying? So I think, after that, we just basically had to just, it's really just simple. Just more networking, more conversations, what we need to do, you know what I'm saying? And build that trust within each other, you know what I'm saying? Because that unnecessary tension that we had toward each other, that really, destroyed a lot between, DC, PG, and Baltimore, you know what I'm saying? So once we, network, but like, it's crazy because, I'll go out of town, I'll meet some dudes from Baltimore, they be like the realest dudes I ever met in my life, you know what I'm saying? Same thing for like other parts of Virginia, outside of Northern Virginia, 757, Richmond, you know what I'm saying? The same third, once we just keep in communication and don't just talk about it and just be about it, then I think that will be, a major solution right there.
All right. Anybody got any questions? I want to open up the floor real quick. Y'all got some questions?
And I think we can celebrate distinction. Like Baltimore and DC are not alike.
We should celebrate
757 is not alike. And yes, we can all make fun of each other. It doesn't mean anybody got to die over it, but we can fight about who did New Balances first. I ain't gonna get into that with y'all, but
we started it.
I'm not gonna get into that because that will start a fight. But I kind of feel like,
for debate.
But just because everybody outside is like, oh, y'all are one thing. No, we are not one thing. We are very different. My cousins in Baltimore are very different from me. So like, I don't think it's gotta be this thing where it's like kumbaya, but hell, like celebrate those distinctions. Like you said, Baltimore has its own entity. It is not DMV. And yes, you should get mad if somebody says Geronte Davis is from the DMV. Hell, I'd be like, well, he ain't from the DMV, he from Baltimore. And if they
so you think it's wrong? You think because I'm a brand that does that. You gotta correct me.
Celebrate your distinction.
Okay,
we don't have to all be the same because someone from California can't tell the difference. You can tell the difference. Teach them and say, this is the difference. Okay, because ultimately when my DC friends ended up going to Morgan State, or the PG County girls, we went to Morgan State, we did start to have fun. It went from like, Baltimore to, this club music kind of fly when you get in the Hammerjacks. Like, we started to have fun and was like, dang, it used to be like, I gotta go only. But once you start to get exposed to the cultures, that's the thing, expose each other to the culture. But we don't necessarily gotta be like, kumbaya either. Like,
yeah, no one from 757 is about to say, we're from the DMV.
And that's okay.
But Kimberly, you keep banging this. No one, we're not. Like, Kimberly is actually the only one from 757. A few people in here that are with it. Everybody is not from 757. Is definitely not with the plan
at all.
757.
Well, I'm curious as to what it would take for more DC and Maryland people to come to 757. So for me personally, I'm looking at it from a very top-down way. Like, I want to build a hotel in my area. I'm lobbying with the government to have an Acela train from 757 to DC. I'm not driving 4 hours every time I need to come here. I flew here, but there's only one flight. So to me, I'm like looking at like, how do I literally get people here? I think 757 culture, it would be wild if someone was like, Missy's from DC. Like, I would throw up, you know, like not, but I love DC, but it's like, we, and y'all know that just from Something in the Water, we have such a deep story to tell historically, but I think it's storytelling. Like, we need to be able to tell our individual stories as people, as a community, from our individual cities and our region. But I am curious to know like what it would take to get y'all to come to my good old side of the water.
It's the exposure. The more, when you got something in the water and the whole DMV goes down there and sees it, they're gonna start to see the tourism down there. They'll see all the other things, and that helps. Like I said, we were so separate from Baltimore. They'd be like, I can't go to Baltimore, until one day I was on the harbor and enjoyed myself and had a hell of a crab cake. Like, it's exposure at the end of the day. If y'all gonna sit in your own space and just keep circulating in your own space, and you're not gonna open up yourself to other cultures that are different from you, that's your problem. But everybody here, we got like if that's your goal, then you gotta, like you said, Something in the Water, any of that, homecomings, Norfolk State, Hampton homecoming. When we go down there, that's when we get to see it. And then when you're like, hey, so y'all see this, right? We need this, and that. It might be a Udo that's like, oh, I didn't really, that's an untapped market. Let me go there. It might be an Ange. It might be Malcolm. Any of us. You might bring another food hall down there, but it's about that exposure. We just gotta expose.
Come get some fried crabs.
See,
they only exist in 757.
I ain't even know about fried crabs. Now I gotta go get fried crabs.
Yes. Hood, you got something to say?
I think also because I think they was on the notion of like, you know, say for example if they say Tank DMV this and the third, right? I think we can always represent the DMV while at the same time represent where we from too. You know what I'm saying? I think we can do both at the same time because I'm a Washingtonian native. You know, Uptown, we got some Uptown people in here. Oh, I'm the only one? Uptown, we in here. You talking about, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But like whole time, like it's just like we can still rap because I still claim the DMV. I still recognize this metropolitan area, and I'm still, you know, getting adjusted to Baltimore, you know, 7572. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting adjusted to it. You know what I'm saying? And one last thing I also want to bring up too, you know, just that third, you know, for all artists, you know, don't just get stuck in the DC PG County wave too. You know what I'm saying? Network out Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Shaq Lizzy got more fans in Baltimore than DC. On God, like they love Shaq Lizzy out Baltimore. Yeah, facts. Yeah, it's different out Baltimore. So like y'all got network on the other parts too. And you know what I'm saying? Cause you know, blowing up out here, like you might get 1 million views out here. You know what I'm saying? But 1 million views out here and 1 or 2 million views in New York City is different. You know what I'm saying? You know, or even Atlanta and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's still a limit out here. So we got to tap in on that other side. You know what I'm saying? Don't be scared to network. Don't be scared to be right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, go out Richmond and 757. That about to cool down there with you. You know what I'm saying? Get something to eat out there. You know what I'm saying? It's like third. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, but nah, definitely though, you know, I think we just need to network more than just DC region. We need to go out here and get to it. You know what I'm saying? Get to it and get hot in all 3 regions. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not music. That's all type of businesses as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I wanted to say one thing too about solutions and collaborating, because I think that's something that we miss a lot sometimes because we work such in silos. But people don't realize these pop-ups that we do in the region are a really big way that we bring culture together and people mix and mingle and buy certain things. And commerce always seems to bring people together. And in Market 7, we're developing the 7,000 square foot food hall, opening this summer. Make sure you follow us. And we're going to be having like a Market 7 mix. So, you know, when you go to Macy's and Zara and all these places, they play music. We're going to play music too. So we're trying to have a mix. So we're trying to find out people all across the region, who can we play in our Market 7 mix every week? Because I want people to be like, oh, we heard it first at Market 7. You know what I mean? And that's a cool way to kind of get people engaged. So like, as, you know, artists and creators thinking about different ways that we can collaborate, not just, you know, just using radio or maybe online, but then also like the stores we go to and the parties we throw and stuff like that. How are we like collaborating to bring creators into those spaces as well?
How y'all doing? I say my name is Queenie. I'm I'll say an overall influencer for the area. I manage a music and photography studio. I do creative direction. I've shot a lot of videos, wrote treatments for a lot of the artists in this area, and A&R, all of those things. So one of the things that y'all touched on is, and where I see, you know, even in the conversation, it's kind of like the vibe. As somebody who is not originally from here, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida originally, and I came here and grew up here, and I've been in Atlanta for the last 4 years. The one thing that I would say about our area that I love and adore is that there is this unique opportunity to be divided, very like definitively divided, but still collectively together. And when we learn how to master that, of like I said, repping the DMV, but then how you said having those distinct conversations of, because even within the people who do identify within the DMV culture, it's still like, oh, but are you from DC, Maryland, or Virginia? And then even when you get into Maryland, like, what part of Maryland? You from PG? Exactly. So the thing about it is how we break down is accepting the fact that we are a microorganism, and we attach and we grow more into each other. And I think if we understand the science of what we have going on, and then also understand that we have a stronger backbone than a lot of these artists in the country, because we grew up in a political area where you have to choose a side. Naturally, we're kind of like programmed like that. You gotta be, you know what I'm saying, a rapper or a singer, or you gotta be, you know, street or not, or you know what I'm saying, whatever these things are. But we've recently in these years been inspired by like the Atlantas and all of those things, even to, if we recognize like how New York manages to do it. That's, if you're from New York, you say New York, but then the next question is what part, what block, what, you know what I'm saying, and just understanding that is the conversation, you know what I'm saying, instead of it being like, I don't want to be a part, you know what I'm saying, because then what is already kind of a complex conversation just becomes a complaint, and we don't want to be that, you know what I'm saying, to the cities. It's frustrating to go into rooms with big execs and to say that the DMV got next, because I know how much talent is out here, how in groundbreaking talent, not cookie cutter, you know what I'm saying, and doing those things and experiencing those eye rolls, because they know for a fact y'all don't even got your together, so why would we involve ourselves with it? And I think if we understand that's the conversations that are being had in those other rooms that move stuff for us, that it'll motivate us more to have those conversations within ourselves, so that even if it's just a united front to the outside, you know what I'm saying, that's what it is, because that's what's going to move the ball forward. So
I just want to say before we close out, like, I'm inspired by the day. I'm from 757, caught a train this morning to get here, me and Batman. And like, just being here in this energy is like what I know what we need, because earlier this week, Tuesday, me and 50 of my friends in the 757, we sat down and talked, creatives in the area, all doing dope stuff. And we were like, how can we bring everything together and work together and stop competing? And having this event going on this weekend was an opportunity for me to see something that's on a grander scale and how we can tap into that knowledge of how we can work together. And that's what it is. The DMV, not just keeping it Virginia, keeping it separated. So being here today is like, how can we do an event together? How can we like cause this eruption of talent and energy to inspire other people, other places to come to where we have in our event set? I know this summer, we have been lucky to be blessed with an opportunity at the oceanfront to do a Juneteenth Fest. The city of Virginia Beach is behind it, sponsoring our event. So we can, it's something in the water that's coming to DC now. I was gonna say that earlier. That's moved to y'all to this area, so, but it's still a part of DMV, so I'm not mad about it. Like, but yeah, if we can tie in some kind of event, if we can do the Juneteenth Fest together, I would love that, man. Have the DMV involved as a sponsor, as a partner, whatever we do, but having talent like artists that y'all have on stage like Cam and other people come from here to be on stage with our artists in 757, bring Maryland artists down. We can really have, and in businesses too, pop-ups during the event, so we can tie it all in together and make that connection.
Yeah, something in the water is going to be Juneteenth, and
really?
it's pretty political. Everyone from 757 knows and understands that, So it's a touchy subject,
Wow.
but it's still in the DMV.
Wow.
But I think to your point, it's like we have a lot of work to do at home, especially in the 757, and everyone knows that. And we have such a political chokehold that it's difficult, but we can come together as a community and do our own things. I will talk to you about that. It's definitely Juneteenth week.
That should definitely talk.
Can I speak to that real quick? So this is really important, right? So if y'all know about House Studios, I'll give y'all the formula to our success and why we were a part of the infrastructure that now we see. House Studios focused all of our energy on making other people shine. We only shared other people's work. We didn't talk about ourselves. We didn't talk about what we could do. If you were an artist, whether you worked in the studio or not, we shared your music. If you had an event, we showed up and bought tickets. If you had merch, we purchased it. We sponsored every MADE conference. When we didn't have money, we sponsored with physical help. When we had money, we sponsored financially. If AMP needs a space, we there. If AMP need an artist, we there. If Malcolm needs something, we're there. I'm not saying that we're not perfect. But if 10 people did that in the DMV, just focused on what you can do for the next person. If everybody leaves here and just takes that little nugget, just this group of people, it don't even gotta be the biggest names and the biggest wigs. What Wallow did is it. And he said it, he can give 2,000. But like if you find Bird and say, yo Bird, for the next MADE, here's 20, I guarantee you Bird's putting that to work here. If you pull up to the 7,000 square foot space and say, how can I help? Can I take a picture? Can I do an event? Like, that's what it takes. We did pop-ups at Smith Commons. We did pop-ups at Eaton. Like, there's no space that we didn't do events at because it was how can we add value? Infrastructure is about what you can do for other people. If you're sitting at this table and you're trying to figure out what's not being done for you, it's never gonna change. So if you guys want the simple solution, it's just stop thinking about yourself for like 6 months and be like, how can I help someone else? And if everybody in this room did that, the DMV is good. That's what Atlanta has. As soon as I showed up to Atlanta, they were like, oh, how can we help you, Udo? And I was waiting for the catch. But I didn't pay for studio time for the first 6 months. Like, I literally be like, man, I need a studio. And they'd be like, oh, go to Sunny Digital spot. Oh, go to this person's spot. So
that's law. That's law.
Yeah,
that's in life.
So again, I'm sorry I had to take that, Bird. Like, I didn't want to speak much, but like that's the key. Thank y'all. Bird, get your flowers, Bird.
That's right.
Bird, get your flowers.